It's like your website, faster than expected. .1, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think the reason that everything is going faster than expected is that a lot of these UN agencies and a lot of these scientists in the climate panel, they are sort of holding back on some of the most scary feedback mechanisms that are coming to fruition now. And from my own studies of the decadal averages, if you take 10-year averages for sea ice volume in the Arctic, it's very obvious to see that it's like a stone that is, you throw a stone and you can see the path down towards the ground, and it's going down all the way since like 92, 93. The 10-year average for the ice volume has just been going down every day, and I think it's very strange that you have to have this strange old guy up in Greenland playing with his computer to find that kind of clear sign of a tipping point many decades in the past. Why is nobody in the United Nations system doing that? Why don't we? Why does everybody who speaks about climate on television say that it's just a matter of choosing the right politician and then we can fix it and we can it's all in our hands? And I actually got a tip from one of my Facebook friends this morning. It was a new video from Yale Climate Connections. You know Yale, the university in America.
No, not closely.
And it was a terrible propagandistic video, almost denialistic about methane. They used maybe an actor, I don't know, an actress, somebody who was worried about the methane bomb, and then you had lots of sort of doctors or experts who said, "Oh no, this is not dangerous, and it can't happen. Methane cannot be released because it's an endothermic reaction." You know, that kind of abuse of science or abuse of scientific language. You know, it's like when ocean water freezes into sea ice. That's an exothermic, the opposite of the reaction she was talking about. But following her logic, because when water freezes, it releases heat to the surroundings. So following her logic, the ocean could never freeze because it would be too hot from the exothermic reaction.
So it was these YouTube videos on this methane bomb theory, right? That there was this mechanism where these methane hydrates will escape from like subsea permafrost or from shallow, the ESAS ice shelf, and create this runaway global warming effect. Now I know that all of these claims are overblown. Like, it's the methane bomb claims specifically. Like, obviously there's permafrost feedback, but in terms of like research that Carolyn Ruppel did.
I'm Carolyn Ruppel, and I work for the U.S. Geological Survey. I'm a marine geophysicist, and I lead the USGS Gas Hydrates project. People who may not be too aware of the thermodynamics of gas hydrates may believe that once you start triggering warming of those and breakdown of those deposits, you can't stop it. And in fact, the thermodynamics helps you a lot on this because of the nature of the reaction. It's an endothermic heat reaction. This is a problem when we try to produce methane from hydrates. It keeps shutting itself down, right? So it's not a situation where we trigger breakdown and that breakdown is going to suddenly, like the whole deposit's going to release its methane all of a sudden. That is not a scientifically sound worry.
So it's like, you and I know that these Russian scientists, Shakova or what's her name is?
And Semiletov.
Yeah, they have found that in the Arctic Ocean seabed in East Siberia. I think it's like a foot of thawing down into the seabed every year. So you thaw, because the ocean is warming up, you thaw another foot for every year, and even that's exponential. So that's also going further and further down.
Yes, and that's exponential. And they in an interview, I can't remember the name of Shakova. What's the first name?
Natalia
Shakova.
Yeah.
Said that there is a kind of frozen layer on the sea ground of the Siberian Arctic shelf, and this layer hinders the methane from the sediments to come out of the ground. And this layer is now thawing because the water the water isn't very deep, around 50 meters or so, yeah. And it's the water temperature is growing very fast, and it's thawing, and there's methane bubbling out of the sea ground and the sediments. And she said there's no possibility to freeze it, only if it's exposed to the air,
yeah.
And the atmospheric temperature is very, very low. It can be frozen again.
So it's not going to happen because we still have a lot of seawater, and we cannot send the water out to the moon or anything. So.
Yes, these layers and these methane in the sediments has been frozen in a very cold range of time. I don't know when it was, and afterwards this Arctic Ocean expands over this old sea ground,
yeah.
And so it's impossible to refreeze it.
Absolutely.
If we would be able as a humanity or not, there's no chance to freeze it.
No, it isn't.
And this is only one little example of a feedback mechanism. The water is heating, and this layer is thawing, and more methane is coming out, and so on, and that's irreversible.
Yeah.
And this example is very. If you hear from somebody like Natalia Shakova, it's absolutely logical and clear.
Yeah, it is, and I think we have already seen examples of Shakova and Semiletov being shut out from, for instance, the Royal Society of Science in England. So this Yale climate connection video I talked about, they said that no, it was not kept under wraps. People, the politicians and scientists are not trying to hide these very dangerous mechanisms, but I can see, I can recognize what it looks like when some scientists have a very sound and very scientific report, and they are still shut out of the good society, or what I'm talking about. And you can just look at the IPCC itself, the climate panel. They have a modus operandi of leaving out big dangerous mechanisms, like in their fourth report, I think. How many reports do they have? 5 or 4? Well,
I don't know exactly. I think the 5th has come out.
Yeah, in the 2007 report, anyway, they were trying to figure out how much sea level rise we would have by 2100, and then they left out Greenland, and they left out Antarctica. And the reason they left out the only big sources of frozen water was that no, it's difficult to know exactly how much will melt how soon, right? And then they just set the number 0 for Greenland and 0 for Antarctica, and they've done this with methane as well in 2014. Just saying that subsea methane will release only on millennial timescales or whatever.
Yes.
So they leave out these big things all the time, and I don't think Yale University is justified in saying that these things are not hidden from us, because I think they are.
Where do you get your data for the curves of the Arctic ice volume and so on?
Yeah,
what's your main source?
I use the most agreed upon source, which is the University of Washington. Washington State in America. The Pyomas ice volume series. And, I used to get it from there, but because of the shutdown in America, there hasn't been any new numbers since November 2018. So it's very exciting to see if we will ever get sea ice volume numbers back up. It seems everything is shut down.
I've seen this curve, or I don't know if we can call it curve. It's just you wrote in your blog it's falling like a ball in the ballistic curve.
Yeah. So
why do you use 10 year average?
It's a good question. I have tried to explain it in different ways, but you can start with having only one day, looking at only one day of volume, and then you will go up and down, more or less randomly. Even in winter, the ice can go down a day, like a freak, like an exception, and you can have weekly averages and monthly, yearly, etc. So in order to find the sort of the real scale for looking at the sea ice, I've experimented with 1 year, which I used for a long time, and I made some graphs for 2-year average, 3-year average, 4-year average, and the interesting thing is that all of these long averages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year averages, they go sometimes up and down, even though the big trend is down. So, but when you come up to 9 and 10 years, it's always down from the start of the series in 1979. Then the 9-year averages and 10-year averages go only down, which I think is kind of a more accurate picture of the Arctic, because it's like when it's spring in Germany, let's say March, April, May, everybody knows that in general it gets warmer every day, right? But sometimes you have some fog or some wind from the Arctic or whatever, and you can have 5 days where it gets colder and colder, even in April, May, right? But if you were to explain April, the concept of April, to your child, for instance, you wouldn't say that now it gets colder and colder in April every day. So that then you already use a sort of average, because you are older than your child, obviously. So then you can say that, no, but we do get warmer and warmer and closer to summer, even though it doesn't look like that right today. So I'm kind of doing the same thing in simplifying what we are seeing. Then I choose the 10-year, and because a 10 is a round number, you know, and it's not cherry picking like making the 7-year or the 9-year. That's sort of more like cherry picking because that specific graph looks, you know, you feel that I might feel that I could use that, but I use 10-year because then you take away the year-to-year ups and downs, which are natural in the system, you know.
And it's going down since, I think, 30 years or so.
25 years and a couple of months.
What? 25, yes.
Yeah.
It's always going down, and I think that there must be a strong connection between CO2 and the trend of the Arctic ice volume.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Absolutely, but I think also I also think that these are self-reinforcing feedbacks. You know, that my impression is that we triggered this runaway ice melt in the 70s or 80s. Then it was already too much carbon in the atmosphere. So we triggered these mechanisms, and you know, methane was coming up already, you know, back then too. But it's just much faster today, and you also have these lags. It's like, you know, some people like to blame Donald Trump for the climate change we are seeing today, but it's more like Bill Clinton, Bill Clinton's carbon dioxide emissions that we are seeing causing all these wildfires in America, because there is these decades long lags from emissions and to the warming effect of them, right? So
yes.
So I actually believe that we are now past repair, you know, beyond repair. Fubar fucked up beyond all repair.
Yes, and the last years the methane is coming out more and more, and so we have this melting curves quite taller to come down, steeper.
Yeah. And I think what this Yale climate connection, this USGS service scientist, what she left out when she was talking about the endothermic reaction of you know, oxidizing or burning methane hydrates to methane gas. What she left out there was obviously that it is self-reinforcing, because she left out the fact that when you get this methane into the Arctic atmosphere, it will heat more and faster, and then more methane from the seabed will get released. So she didn't talk about that, almost like the climate panel didn't feel like talking about the Greenland ice or the Antarctic ice. You know? So yeah. I analyzed the latest IPCC report as some kind of panic mode, you know, entering a panic mode, where they try to sell a story, or sell a narrative to the public. I think they were going on about, we have 12 more years, you know.
Yes, and this report that we can read is the comparison for politicians, I think. Yeah. You've read, or did you have the original text?
Yeah, I don't know the original as well.
We won't get it. And for the politicians, nobody can say we have passed the point of no return, and we can slow it down, maybe not.
Yeah. No, it seems very unanimous, the tendency to say that it's all up to us what we do now, you know. I think even James Hansen is quoted as saying that. And another guy in this Yale video said that it's almost entirely up to us, you know, which is, if you say that the fate of the climate change is almost entirely up to us, that means that you are saying that there are no runaway feedback mechanisms, you know, there are no lags of carbon already in the atmosphere that haven't played out yet. So the you know, the public life or the political sphere seems to be moving away from science, almost like in a new dark age, you know.